And joining me now is Cavuto Coast to Coast and Your World with Neil Cavuto, host Neil Cavuto. Neil, how's it going there?
It's going, I think he laid it out very nicely. It's all about the weather. It's all about the cold. It's how many people you can get in from the cold. And the hope is the spending on the ground game that each campaign likes to talk about, particularly Ron DeSantis, even Vivek Ramaswamy. Both of them have visited all 99 counties here, I believe, in Ramaswamy's case twice, that will make the difference. We shall see.
I want to get to some of the sound. I know you've done a lot of interviews, but in 2016, the Republican caucus saw record turnout with about 187,000 votes cast. That was in 2016. What is the thinking for today? If at 7 p.m. when the polls are when the caucuses begin in Des Moines, it's going to actually be -6 degrees, Neil.
Yeah, and with the wind chill minus 30 degrees, I mean, when you look at it all, it's anyone's guess. It's not going to be 186,000. I believe that at the time represented about 19% of the vote. And even then, it can't compare to what Barack Obama enjoyed in 2008, almost 280,000 votes then. That was a unique development. But the fact of the matter is, on caucuses in general, you don't have a high percentage of those participating. That gets back to the issue. It doesn't take much to move the needle or too many individuals to move the vote. So it is distinctly possible that while candidates count on their voters, that they cannot be sure they're going to show up. And we're already hearing signs from a number of voters here who might not show up. Now, when I talk to many of them, I've gone inside and outside diners, even though the diner part is my favorite part of the job, they always seem to tell me, Lauren, I'll be there, but I'm not so sure if I'm going to put my mom or dad through this, or an aunt or uncle. Now, if you just extrapolate that out to the number of people you need to sort of secure a good vote on this, and they don't start showing up, let's say you're outside of the Des Moines area, Sioux City, or the urban areas here, and you're in the hinterlands where they're having a devil of a time keeping up with the snow squalls and the like. Roads are still impassable, and you have to remember what a caucus is about. You're going to 1,700 precincts. You've heard a lot about that, Lauren, but a lot of those so-called precincts are people's homes. They gather everyone in their homes, and sometimes some homes are busier or get more traffic than others. So sometimes the lines can go out the door. Can you imagine going out the door in weather like this? So that's the open question. Whose supporters are more passionate about getting out no matter the elements? We'll see.
It really is fascinating. Neil, you sat down with Nikki Haley earlier this morning. That was at Drake's Diner. Let's listen to what she said.
How do you feel about the idea that many of your fans want you or no one?
Well, that's why we're going to win. It's because they want someone else. I mean, you go all across the state. People are tired. They're
But
tired.
you support that view. If it isn't you, it doesn't work out, and it's Donald Trump, that they're going to go elsewhere?
I mean, look, I would take Donald Trump over Joe Biden any day of the week, but I'm going to make sure we don't have that option.
Is Nikki Haley going to prevent Donald Trump from getting that record turnout, that 50+% of the vote, Neil?
I think it's a great question, Lauren. And again, I'll have to answer, I don't know. I think it's interesting to hear that Donald Trump, who has so far never said a bad word about, Vivek Ramaswamy, all of a sudden started mentioning a couple of days ago, he's not MAGA material, he's not all that. The only thing I can tie to that, and maybe cynically, is this Des Moines Register poll that had him dipping to 48%. I say dipping, he's still running away with this thing if you buy the polls. Maybe, Donald Trump thought, well, if I can zing this guy and sort of weed off a few percentage points of his vote, I could be back over 50%. No one has ever done that in caucus history. We'll see. But it was interesting that he went after him. Now, of course, Nikki Haley and her voters are of a different kind of a mindset. Nikki Haley trying to play the statesman here, saying, I'll support the Republican nominee no matter who it is because it's better than, obviously, Joe Biden. But her supporters, and this was quite interesting. We're going to explore this a little bit more on my Your World show on Fox News, this notion that they will not vote for Donald Trump, no matter. Now, I think about 60% of them feel that way, that if she doesn't get the nomination, they will go elsewhere. They'll even support Democrats, I believe. Separate surveys have indicated that that's where a lot of her voters would go. It's too early, again, to tell there, but they're a particular crowd that in no way is going to entertain anyone other than Nikki Haley.
Yeah. And New Hampshire will give us more insight into that as well. Neil, thank you. Be sure to watch Neil's continuing Iowa coverage on Your World on Fox News. That's at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.